I'm in my new room, which is very beautiful and spacious, and I'm sitting in front of the window where the lighting is nicest. It's a bit of an uncomfortable position, but that's okay. I will have to buy a stand for my phone. I have a nice clamp that I put on a microphone stand, but I've just been propping it up with the last few episodes. Oh great, it's gone behind a cloud. Okay, I went to the Tate Britain for the first time lately, and I'm going to talk about my favourite paintings in there. So I had already been to the Tate Modern, but I am a real Philistine when it comes to modern art. I just hate it. Sorry. I genuinely, the more I was going around this place, the Tate Britain, which is a different place, I was like, art just has gotten worse over time. And I know that's my most conservative viewpoint. That's my most boomer take. Is that art, at least, visual, physical art has gotten worse. So the first painting that I want to talk about, so the Tate Britain is more of, I guess, conventional kind of art. What's really interesting about it is it's organized chronologically in terms of when the art was made or painted usually, which is interesting because I've never seen that before in a museum, and it was actually really enjoyable. It meant, you could see the progression of particularly British art. It's mainly British art in there, or experts who came and painted their paintings in Britain. Whereas the Tate Modern is, more standard modern art. So, the first painting I want to talk about is The Shipwreck by James W. Turner, whose full name is Joseph Mallard William Turner, which I do think is hilarious. Imagine your middle name being Duck. And you continue to use it. He could have just called himself J.W. Turner, but no. Turner made an enormous donation to, I think, the museum, I guess it was open when he was alive, or to somebody anyway, of his art. They have like about 3,000 pieces. They've got a huge, obviously not all of them are on display, but they've got a big few rooms kind of dedicated to him. So I had to choose two paintings because I couldn't choose between them. But these were my two favorite Turner paintings. And it was nice to see some Turners up close, because I've always admired him and the paintings I've seen, I think maybe in books and stuff. But it was really nice to see these paintings live. I was always drawn by his seascapes, as I think everybody is. They're his most famous works. It's just incredible for somebody who apparently never really went to sea to capture successfully the kind of terror and the horror. I think what's interesting about this painting and other paintings is the perspective of it, that he really puts you in the danger zone, in the place where the fishermen are. You're looking up at the waves rising above you, and his use of colour, light and dark, the spray of the water is incredible. My other favourite, as I said, I couldn't choose between them, is Fishermen at Sea. So apparently this was his first exhibited oil painting and made quite a splash, pun intended. And it says, it's a dramatic interplay of light and dark got him noticed. A hard-to-please art critic wrote that it was one of the greatest proofs of an original mind. And they are, truly original, I think, his paintings. So again, it's this amazing use of the light of the moon lighting a particular section, and then takes great confidence, I think, to paint a painting where so much of it is so dark, but we can still see what's happening in the darkness. But it's a real mark of confidence in an author, I guess we could say. Then there was a lot of other really famous British paintings there. One such was The Lady of Shalott. I have two sad woman paintings that are my favourites that I think the girlies love. So The Lady of Shalott is based on a poem by, first of all, it's by John William Waterhouse. It was painted in 1888. But it's based on a poem by Alfred Lord Tennyson about the Lady of Shalott. So the Lady of Shalott is from the Arthurian legend. And basically she's this woman who's cursed to live in a castle, and she can only look at the world from a mirror. So she can only see the reflection of the world. And she sees Lancelot, famous babe magnet, in the mirror, and she's so entranced by him she has to turn around. And the mirror shatters, her curse is immediately enacted, she's going to die soon. So she decides to leave there and try and find Lancelot. So hops into the boat, but you can see from the look on her face that she knows her fate is incoming. The use of kind of wet and dry is amazing, like the blanket that's kind of falling into the water and is partly wet, partly dry. Same thing with the sleeve of her dress, and the tragedy in her face is just really beautiful. I literally had to run and get some water there. I was gasping. Anyway, next sad girl picture is Ophelia. Again, very well known to the girlies, I think. It is by Sir John Everett Millais, and it was painted over 1851 to 2. So most people will probably be familiar with Ophelia and this particular story legend. It's not a legend, it's from Shakespeare. So Ophelia was kind of like a friend of Hamlet's. Oh no, I guess they were lovers. Hamlet murders her father. Spoiler for anyone who hasn't, if you haven't gotten around to seeing Hamlet yet, or reading it or hearing about the story. I know it's a new release. But anyway, she falls into a stream and drowns because she kind of goes mad with grief. So this is her dead. I guess she is dead in this picture. The tradition the painter was following, it was the pre-Raphaelite tradition. The nature scene was one of the most important parts of the scene, even though her face I think is incredibly realistic. Like, it really does look like a person's face. Getting that right was a core part of that style and the kind of brotherhood that he was a part of, the pre-Raphaelite one. So he would go into the countryside to kind of do studies of this, and he painted all of the nature first and put Ophelia in afterwards. But there's a funny kind of letter in the descriptions that he sent to his friend, and he said I'm in danger of being blown by the wind into the water and becoming intimate with the feelings of Ophelia when the lady sunk to muddy death. So he was really risking his life for his art, and there was people kind of chasing him off of fields and all that sort of thing. That was the kind of live study that he was doing for the painting. Another little fun fact, the model was a lady called Elizabeth Siddal, and she was a favourite of the pre-Raphaelites, who later married a painter called Rossetti. But she had to lay in a bath for 4 months, with breaks, I guess. And there were lamps underneath the bath, heating it to keep her warm, but the lamps went out one time and she got a cold, a really serious cold, and her father, big legend, threatened to sue what's his name, Millais, with the painter with legal action unless he paid her doctor's bills. So I think a lot of what makes the painting so beautiful is the attention to detail in the surrounding nature. It wouldn't be half as good a painting if it was just Ophelia and then some kind of shitty flowers drawn around. This is my first and only one by a woman. The painting is Psyche Before the Throne of Venus by Henrietta Ray. This is also based on a myth, a Greek myth. Psyche is prostrating herself at the throne of Venus, or Aphrodite. I can't remember why, and it's too hot to look it up. I'm sorry. But I actually did my own sketch of this painting, which I will put here. They have pens and pencil, or paper and pencils in the room, so you can use them to draw your reproductions. I love a Greek legend. I was a big Greek legends kid. I think they're very beautiful to paint, maybe almost because of the clothes they wore at the time. They're also rushed, the fabrics, and falling and soft. And yeah, who doesn't like an idyllic imaginary scene? This last one is Emma Hart as Circe by George Romney. This was painted in 1782. She's painted as the sorceress Circe from Greek mythology, Circe. And I think I liked the kind of sensual nature of this picture. Like, it is quite not suggestive, but yeah, sensual. And I like, it's rare that you have a woman kind of staring down the barrel of the camera or the artist in these types of paintings. So I think I also like that she's looking at you actively rather than kind of gazing dreamily off into the distance. And then the more I read about this lady, she was a serious girl boss. She was pretty famous and modelled a lot and was like a lot of people's mistresses, pretty much just for being beautiful, which is, you know, how you get to be a famous mistress usually. But the more you look back, she was from a humble provincial background, but was also a famously sensual beauty. Already an unmarried mother. And then she, you know, went on being a lover of wealthy older men and, you know, took care of her child. I think I like the painting, and then the more I read about it, it's interesting to see how a working class or provincial woman was able to make her way using what she had and make a life for herself and her child. So that's it for today. Once again, I am melting. But thank you so much for spending this time with me. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you this time next week.